record to the crowd. This is that way, just to make sure. It's not on, and start video. Okay. So we're almost there. We're recording now.
Yep.
We're going to ask people to step over here.
You know what? It's shady going
This area. We ask social distance, please, and to keep your masks on. Immediate family, if you'll be seated in these chairs right here. Be seated. Brian, Davis, Abby, the chair. Ooh.
Jerry, sit in a chair. Yeah.
Hey, Debbie,
I'll stand.
did you want to sit in here or stand out there?
Let the old people sit. You know what I mean.
She's here somewhere.
We're going to ask everyone who's listening to mute your phones, please. Okay. Who's that?
Might be an initial or somebody in the chat. Maybe that. Oh, good.
Please stand up. We're going to do the ribbon. Where is your? No, that I know that. Where's your brother?
Right there.
Symbolic of the rending of your heart. Of course, that's the left side. Please repeat after me. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Eloheinu melech haolam. Dayan. Ha'emet. We praise you, order of God. You and spirit being with God the truth. You take and you pull the right. And then what we'll do is, because of the sun and the heat, I'm having them cover over now. When you get towards the end of the surface, we each have an opportunity to throw some more time on grass. Okay. But I just wanted to,
I agree.
you know, to take the 5 minutes now. I don't remember, forgive me, I don't remember what Beverly was.
Beverly.
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 Thank you, sir.
Okay, family, please
don't
see
have
this
any
place.
plain masks. That's what I had in my car.
Thank you. I'm just going to get some umbrellas. So just to borrow, because I'll be standing out here at the umbrella. Josie, come sit down. Here, but when done I move, I'm going to need the umbrella. I'm shrinking in my old age. Now it's you. Now look. Jerry, sit down so you're out of the heat. Yeah. Yeah.
These are my two grandsons and my sister's here. And Glenn's here. I can stay outside. And you met Todd.
Right. Okay, when we get to the point of what we're going to say, I'll call the most handsome, well, the second most handsome first. I'll call you, then I'll call you, and I'll read what you do.
Brianna sent me an email. She wants.
Whatever. You can.
I'm just letting you know.
I don't mean whatever in a bad way. I mean, yeah,
I know.
Whatever. It's totally okay. It's totally okay. Okay, so please, we're going to begin. Okay. Yes. You gonna talk first?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha first.
I'm
Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, we praise the Judge of Truth. It is a beautiful boater's day. If you have a boat, this is a great day. You want to be out on the boat. And so we are going to give a send-off to Jerry, our dear Jerry. Blessed be the Judge of Truth. Begin with Psalm 121. Asai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo ezri. I'm not that tall, but it's good to have the cover. Asai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yekeka v'yarech b'layla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra yishmoret nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzidcha v'echa me'ata v'ad olam. I lift my eyes unto the mountains, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot give way, your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. He is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death has taken our beloved Jerry Sanshuck. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Jerry's love that united so many people in life and which death cannot sever. For his companionship that we shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind, which brought joy and happiness and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these and more, we give our thanks to God. It is a time of grief. And so once again, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures. It brings us the ever new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator. In light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. And let us recite in the English the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We gather this afternoon on a most reverent occasion to pay our last respects and a deserved tribute to Jerome Sanshuck. Last week at the Maltz Hospice, Jerry said to me, I regret that Doris died so many years ago. I loved her so. And I never thought I would be in love again, but I am. Beverly and I have a good time together. I'm not a religious Jew. Going to services a lot, you probably noticed. That's why you saw me only a few times a year. But the Jewish people and Jewish culture and being part of a congregation, that has always been very important to me. Doris and I always thought it was very important to be part of the congregation and to strengthen the congregation. And I want you to say that we want all the donations to go to the congregation. He wasn't laughing when he said that. We appreciate that very much. We have a few remembrances of our dear Jerry, and I'd like to call Brian forward first, and then David, and then we'll continue.
All right, so I'm going to make this kind of fast. I am not a good speaker when it comes to stuff like that, as most of you know. But there's a lot of people here that are family to us. We grew up with you since we were little kids. And that means a lot. It means a lot to my mom and a lot to my dad. You guys are as much family to us as we are to you. And there's a lot of people watching on Zoom. And I got calls from all over the country, people that wanted to watch and be here. They told me originally only like 15 people were supposed to be here. I said, well, you could go jump in a river. That ain't going to happen. So we were breaking the rules a little bit, but it's the way it had to be. So most of you all know that my mom and dad, my dad was a funny guy. And most of you all know that I was a little bit crazy growing up. I caused my parents a little grief, the fights, the running around, a couple times posting a bail, but just a fast little story that I thought was funny because my dad and I talked about this every day for the last 15 years. So way back when, I decided that it would be a good idea to buy some racehorses. So I went to my dad. I said, Dad, let's buy a few racehorses. He says, one of your great schemes? I said, no, let's buy a couple racehorses. I think it's a good idea. He says, all right. So I go to Kentucky with Michelle. You all know Michelle, my ex-wife. I went with Michelle. I went with Michelle's father. I took him to Keelan, Kentucky. And I took cash with me because I didn't know any better, and a gun that I don't even know how to use. So it was a trip to be foreseen. So we get to the auction. I buy a horse. I bring it back, And the horse ran and it won a few major races and it did really good. And my dad said, oh, not bad. I said, Dad, I got a great idea. Let's hold the horse back. Let's have the jockey act like the horse hurt his leg. And we'll just run them, and then we'll send them out of town to, I forget the one racetrack that all the bad horses run. So we went from racing a non-claiming races, all the way down to a race that you could got the horse for $1,500 or $2,000, whatever it was, and no one took it. So I said, Dad, we're going to run the horse. It's 100% going to win because the horse isn't hurt. It was all, we did it on purpose to make people think it was hurt. So my dad comes up with a little bag of money. He says, we're going to put it on win, place, show, trifecta, perfectas, and everything. To this day, my father says, did we ever find the horse? It's still running. It never came in. So he says, oh, great idea again. So we talk about that story up until now. So I just want to thank everyone for coming. And my dad, and as you know, his cousin, Jerry Gilbert, which is right here in the blue shirt. Jerry, raise your hand so everyone knows. Okay. My dad and him went to college together in Pennsylvania, and I could only imagine the stories those two had. But for everyone that's on Zoom, for everyone that showed up here, I just want to say thank you very much. And it's an honor that I knew everybody as long as my parents did, and you're as much family to us as anything. So thank you very much.
And to those words of praise and tribute, let us say amen.
Well, sorry, but you got a double whammy for me because Brianna is married to a young man in the Navy, and she's in Spain, and the only way to come home was through the military, and she'd land on the base and have to stay there 2 weeks. So she sent me this email to be read, and then I'll give you my speech. Papa's life is something worth celebrating and remembering the good times we had with him. Taught me at a young age what unconditional love was. The relationship we had with Nana is something we can all look up to and hope to find the love they shared. Their marriage was the image I wanted for my own life. With both of their hearts combined, family never felt unloved. Times he took us to the boat were the first memories I have. One particular night at CIC, we got to the boat late in the rain. I dropped my favorite stuffed animal off the golf cart. He looked all night and morning for this little stuffed monkey, and once he found it, my heart exploded. From that moment on, he was my hero. One funnier story to share is the time he took Morgan and I to Disney. I had lost a tooth, and when it came time for lunch, I bit into a hot dog and it was gone. I didn't know how to tell him I lost a tooth in a hot dog, something so soft and easy to eat. Until the next bite, I found it. I had to explain why before he had a heart attack, but eventually it turned out into laughter. There's so many memories we shared together, and I'll be forever grateful for the relationship I had with him. As time went on, he remembered me, I remember how proud he was of me, of the young woman I grew up to be. I'm sorry, my eyes are tearing up, it's hard to read. With his guidance and long conversations over dinner, it helped me thrive for the life he knew I deserved. When he found out I was moving to Spain, he was thrilled for the adventure I was about to go on. We called frequently, loved seeing the new countries I visited, pictures, the dog I adopted. This journey has been hard, but with Papa cheering me on from across the ocean, I knew no matter where I was in the world, I would always have my family just a phone call away. Going on the boat every Sunday to Disney, to sleepovers at his house, could always look back at the memories we had and smile. I never knew how great love Never knew a greater love than a grandfather did with a granddaughter. His heart is a million miles wide, with all little extra for those who need it. I hope in hard times like this, we can reflect on his life, his love, and amazing time spent with him. He always talked to me about, it's so amazing. I grabbed this phone, I hit a button, and then in a second, I'm talking to someone over in Spain. How does they find the signal? Every time he would have this conversation. But what do you say about Jerry? Daddy. Take someone special. Anyone could be a father. It takes someone special to be a daddy. I'm 51. He's still my daddy. The love that him and Nana gave to all of us was more than some biological parents to their children. To open their hearts up and take us in and give unconditional love and always be there. Always the right advice. And like Brian, I was no easy person to grow up with. I even remember one time yelling at them, they're not my parents, and they wouldn't leave my side. They would never give up on me. They were there with love and support and caring along the way and everything. I got the privilege to every Saturday take care of him and take him to dialysis and do what he needed, and times I'll hold dear to my heart. Two of them were two of a kind, two souls that matched, that they found each other for. They will never be forgotten. Showing all of you here and everyone on Zoom a tribute to them of how they were loved and cared and how great people they were, and turned us out great. Thank you all for being here and being part of our lives. We truly appreciate it, and each and every one of you really are family to us.
And to those words, let us also say amen.
Amen.
Got to do a little Zoom check. Got a phone call that it just dropped out. So, the beauty of the internet and the blessings and the curses. That's it. So. So Brian and David and Brianna's words, and so we say amen to those. I spoke to Abby on the phone as well, and she mentioned some things that Dad was a creature of habit. Every day he went to Kenny King's on Mayfield Road for breakfast. Left the house at 7:05. That's not 7 o'clock, that's 7:05 every day. He had a dry sense of humor. When I was in college and I asked him to send me money, he would send me a big piece of paper in an envelope with a check on it, a check mark on it. He said, "You send me a big check." And then I asked, "Did he ever really send you the money?" She said, "Well, eventually he would send me the money too." But I had loads of pieces of paper with big checks on it. Dad and Mom loved boating, and their boat was called Happiness Is. It was at Cedar Point for 10 years and then Catawba for 15. It was a 44-foot boat. It's a big boat. Sadly for boaters, everyone knows eventually you reach the point where if you don't have another person or two people to really help you take it out of the dock or bring it back in, you just can't do it. The tie is got a lighthouse on it. I don't know if it looks like Cedar Point or Catawba, but it's close. He loved his music. Abby said he used to get up on Saturday mornings and play his music. He played it so loud in the earphones that I could hear it. And it was Saturday morning and I wanted to sleep in. And he would be listening to the music like 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. I didn't want to get up. He loved stuff like that. And actually, my girls, she said, have found some of those albums. And, they're LPs. And they put the LPs up on their walls. Album art used to be something, not like a CD, right? Album art. In addition to those heartfelt words, there's a statement in Ecclesiastes which is appropriate for today. It's a difficult verse to understand, but we'll try to make understanding of it. In Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 1, and the day of death is better than the day of one's birth. So what does this mean? Our sages indicate this verse can be understood if you compare it to two ships, both laden with merchandise and both resting at a seashore and port. One ship is about to set out on the journey, and the other ship has arrived in. Many people mill about the ship which has just arrived, cheering it and praising it. The ship that is about to leave on business. It's not like a Carnival ship commercial, you know, a boat that's about to leave on business. Nobody's really around that boat. After it's loaded up, it just goes. So why are people near the boat that has come in from its long journey? Because that boat has been through storms and waves and difficulties, and the ship that's just leaving hasn't even been tested yet. And so we praise our dear Jerry because it's been a voyage. His life, like an ocean, has been deep. It's been filled with high waves and storms and many obstacles. And for those of us that are blessed with children, we know that the storms and the waves and the many obstacles, you're blessed with children, and you've got storms and obstacles and all sorts of difficulties. And in business, many things happen to all of us. In our personal lives, many things happen. But he endured those difficulties and he shared those joys. And so we recall him lovingly. He was born here in Cleveland. He grew up in Cleveland Heights. He lived on East Silsbee. He went into the National Guard and then University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton School of Business. He worked for a while with his dad at Sanshuck Insurance. Jerry and Doris met on a blind date. Myra Goldman made the arrangements. And Jerry said at the time of Doris's funeral in 2007, it was a match. We met in March and we were married on November 18th, 1963. It was a great marriage. It was a loving marriage. We didn't fight very much. We made a deal early on, never go to sleep mad at each other. And then he said, yeah, I really never said no to her. We just celebrated our anniversary. It was very important for her before she breathed her last that we celebrate our anniversary.
He didn't give me a copy of that contract.
The contract wasn't made for you. The contract was made for his wife. Never tell your wife no. Your son, your kid's something else. Jerry and Doris were blessed with 3 grandchildren, 3 children and 7 grandchildren. And as you know, each was adopted through the Jewish Children's Bureau. Now this is, it takes a very special person. It takes special people to adopt. You know, your own flesh and blood at the very beginning, you know, you love them right away. And when you adopt children, you've actually loved them before you even got them, because you have a desire to want to be parents so badly. And they took good care of those kids. Children, Brian, Abby, David. Brian is married to Liz. Abby's married to Howard. David's married to Shelley. And the grandchildren, Tanner, Trevor, Marley, Kylie, Asher, Morgan, Brianna. What mistake did I make?
She's Debbie.
Oh, hi, Debbie. My mistake. Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Brianna is married to Dustin. Over their course of time, Jerry and Doris went many places, and they did a lot of things together, but their favorite hobby was boating. So Doris and Jerry hold a very important place in our congregation. In 1995, they opened their house for the Temple Board of Temple Israel at that time to interview me to succeed my father, Rabbi Fred Eisenberg. And whenever I would go to that condo, infrequently I would go to the condo, but I would go and I would see that couch, and that was the couch, the very couch that the interview committee sat and interviewed me.
in 1995. So when I came in 1996. And they were always very quiet about that. But you know, it's a pretty incredible thing as I'm standing at the grave to be there with the people that provided the place for me to try to sell the congregation on hiring me to be the rabbi.
You had a lot of backers.
I had some, it was 24 years ago, 25 years ago. It's a beautiful, beautiful memory. Please let me share some words from Beverly. Jerry's day was not complete without Rice Krispies, lactate milk, and sweetener for breakfast and sometimes dinner. He never tired of it and always had at least 2 large boxes on hand. After dialysis, he would be exhausted and rest for a few hours. Then he was ready to go out to dinner or a play or a movie. He loved eating outside on a patio in the summer before COVID-19 and would want to go out often with friends, even in the winter. He joked that he would always be in demand to women because he drove at night. He had a very dry sense of humor, and sometimes it was hard to know if he was serious or joking. If he did not like a place I wanted to go, he would say with a straight face, "Oh, that place has gone out of business." He was so definite in what I'm going to tell you. He made me promise this would be said at his funeral. He told me over and over, even before his last days, he was so proud of his 4 oldest grandchildren's accomplishments, and he regretted that he would not see the bright futures he knew the youngest 3 would have. He was very respected and loved by family and friends and business associates. The 9 years Jerry and I spent together brought us both so much joy and filled the second part of our lives with happiness. Beautiful. He breathed his last on Friday, early in the morning at the Maltz Hospice. He died on the first day of the Hebrew month Elul. The Hebrew month Elul is just before the month of Tishrei. Tishrei is when we have Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. So Elul, which we are in now, is a month that we are supposed to focus on reconciliation. Every one of you has a family member, unless you're nobody left in your family, you're totally an orphan. For that, I would be very sorry. Most of us have some family member, a spouse, a brother, a sister, mom, a dad, grandparents. Now's the time to reconcile with them. Now is the time to do that, because we never know when our last day will be. And if you reconcile with your loved ones, then you know that when that last day comes, there won't have been something left unsaid. So he passed away having had the opportunity to do that, thankfully with his family. And we should also take that opportunity. Now for our dear Jerry, it's a time of rest. There's no more deterioration of his body. His mind, he still had his mind, but the body totally gave out. But there's no more deterioration now. Now there's just rest and wholeness and peace. And his soul is returning to God to be with the souls of his dearly departed wife, his dear family members who have of blessed memory, and friends and ancestors. We learn this from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 7. King Solomon wrote, "The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it." So we have placed the body in the ground, and in a few moments, each of us will have the opportunity, if we wish, to engage in the mitzvah of helping to escort his body to its final resting place. We put the body in the ground. The soul returns to God. The body is just the vessel for the soul. Judaism believes in something called Olam Haba, the world to come. The world to come is an entirely spiritual existence. This is a place. Olam Haba is an eternal time. So the body is here, but the soul returns to God. And our belief is that we will be together in this eternal time, Olam Haba, with our loved ones when we go. You have one more thing to say? You sure it's just one more thing?
Yeah. One more fast.
I know you, man.
Fast.
All right, well, I've got one more paragraph. All right. So your memories are filled with thoughts of Jerry. And we give thanks to God for this gift of life. And as we think of him, let us be kinder and more thoughtful of others, more eager to help and serve others. Go for a boat ride, find somebody with a boat, ask them, can we go on a ride in your boat for Jerry? And let us do good things to help other people out, because only through our deeds can the world be compensated for the loss of this decent, soft-spoken, wry sense of humor and dry sense of humor man. And let us say amen.
Real fast, I gotta say this, how proud my dad was of all the grandkids. I mean, David's kids, my kids, Abby's kids, getting Marley, getting her driver's license the other day. He was so damn excited. They lived their lives for their grandkids. And most of you all know that, but I wanted to say it again because it's a major, major thing. The grandkids are lucky to have that memory, and that was vital. And a fast side note, most of you all know this, but my dad loved Howard and Debbie and my wife Liz. My dad really got a kick out of talking to each one and laughing. My dad laughed a lot with Liz. But to the very end, he said, Liz is not allowed to drive my car. So, you know, most of you know Liz likes to wreck cars, you know. But that's it. That was fast. But thanks. Hey, listen, most of you are all family here. So here's the story. Right after the funeral, we're going to Alfredo's over on Beta Drive, and you're more than welcome to come.
They have a patio?
It's an outdoor patio. It's a new pavilion outdoors. There's plenty of tables, and we'll come. My parents always like to entertain, so we're going to do the same. So there you go. Thank you.
Ose shalom bimroma, huya ase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. God who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, God, please send peace upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Jerry Sanshuck, and let us say amen. Into your care we entrust the spirit of our dear Jerry Sanshuck. Yaakov Sima ben Benjamin Natan ve Eliana. For you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. Please rise for El Maleh Rachamim. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Amet Semenu Chanechona, תחת כנפי השכינה, עם קרושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את נשמת יעקב שימה בן בנימין נתן בלידה, שהלך לעולמו בעל הרחמים, יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. Compassionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Jerry Sanshuck. He has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Let us walk over to the grave, and we will recite Kaddish.
We always get another chance.
Amiran va'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'romah hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. If you would, please take some earth and toss it on. Lech kishilacha Adonai, go your way, for the Lord has called you. Lech Adonai yemach, go your way, and may God be with you. V'halach yipanecha tzidkecha, kavod Adonai yasmecha. May your righteousness go before you, and may the glory of God receive you. Would everyone who is here, who wishes to, you may do this as well. Everyone who's not wearing a ribbon, please repeat these words after me, speaking them to the mourners. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. We'll recite Kaddish for Jerry for the next 4 Friday nights at Temple Israel Ner Tamid. Our services are at 6:30, and it's not virtual. We're meeting in the parking lot. We're meeting in person at the drive-in movie theater. You sit in your car, you crank the air conditioning, you put on the radio. You can see it on Facebook Live too, but we're not doing this Zoom issue. You come, and services start at 6:30. Whether anybody comes or not, who knows Jerry, you'll be a privilege to recite Kaddish. Absolutely.
You cut it off.
During services, people physically distant, so you don't have to get too close to anybody.
Still zooming? Is my link still on?
This concludes our Zoom video of the service. If you missed any of it, tomorrow you may go to YouTube, put in Jerry's name, Jerome, and his last name, and it will be in its entirety. Thank you for participating in this.
Okay. See you.
Yeah.